My name is Thomas Cain. I'm with the Opening Door to Recovery team. I am a peer specialist. When they say credentials, that's almost a trick question because a lot of my credentials go back to the fact that I have a lived experience. I have been through a lot of crazy things. That's the best way of putting it, being nice. I've been an addict. I'm 31 years clean. I've been incarcerated. I've got a mental case of PTSD, which I was told, and I believe that extends from two ways, because it extends from my times of addiction and it also being in the military, where at both times I didn't care about nobody or myself. I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I grew up in the red light district. So basically, everybody I knew, relatives and all, I knew the dark side of the street. It was something that I was surrounded by basically my whole life. I used to see people nodding out and everything all around me. That was just part of everyday life. It was a life that I saw as a child, so growing up and you seeing these things, you just see that everything was normal. Drinking and smoking and doing all this, it was just natural. And so at the age of 11, I started smoking weed. And once I got into the military, that's when I got into the hard stuff. It was my way of escaping a lot of things that was going on. It came to the point where I couldn't go without it. Once I started mixing the heroin and the cocaine together, as most people who are addicts know, once I started speedballing, 1 minute I'm up, the next minute I'm down, that was when that was taking control of me. I had to always look for that next fix one way or another. And I got to the point where I became a tri-addict. Longer with some drugs, something to get me high, and whatever way it was, I would try it. Acid or whatever, it didn't make a difference. That's a crazy name for it, but basically, if it was a drug, I was ready to do it. Right. And that's unfortunate for most addicts, because we have that addictive nature, and once we start doing something, we want to move on and keep experiencing that first time high, which you never catch again. I went to rehab, actually I went to rehab a total of 4 times. 3 times was a joke, really, and the 4th time was real. One Easter, a neighbor of mine, they invited us to church, and I went to church, okay, cool. I went to church, like a lot of people do, Easter, Mother's Day, Christmas. And it was a Easter, and the Spirit was tugging at my heart, and I accepted Christ during that time. But of course, me being the person that I was, I went right back into, the life that I was living, which was not the best of lives. And then a couple of years behind that, after I guess God got tired of me messing up, the right hand of the law came down on me, and I got put away. Now, during that time, it was a bad time because I had my one daughter out of all of my children. I just had this one girl, and that was my heart. So I kept praying, and I believe that's the reason why he allowed me to be locked down, because it was bringing me closer to him and bringing me out of the darkness into the light. And once I was clean and didn't have the desire to be out there getting high, because it wasn't like I couldn't get drugs in the jail, because you get plenty of drugs in the jail, but that was not what I wanted. I wanted to be clean because I wanted to be with my baby girl. I wanted to raise her and make sure that she was taken care of and watched over. I took care of all my kids, so I wanted to make sure that, she was the only girl. I had to make sure that she was protected. So that's really what turned me around. I prayed while I was locked down, and I had a 10-year sentence. I just kept praying, and God released me. I was shocked. I'm thinking I'm getting ready to go up the road. I'm like, oh, here we go again. Now I'm going to go up the road for a bit. And instead of me going up the road, I got a call. Hey, get up. You got to go to court this morning. I'm like, oh, man, come on. What they done found out now? When you behind bars, they tell you that you know what you've been doing. So you say, oh, what done happened now? What they found out? And I went to court, and we're going to give you time served, let you go. All I heard was you letting me out. That's the only thing I heard. I'm getting ready to leave. Yeah, if everything past there, I didn't hear it. But 3 years probation, if you mess up any time on that probation, you're gonna do the other 9.5. Period. So not realizing that, but it didn't make a difference because I had made up my mind that I wanted to be there for my daughter, so I had to do whatever I needed to do. I've already prayed to be clean, for God to take the taste out of my mouth. But there was things that I needed to go through. So I was homeless. I was out in the streets for about 5 months, living out in the streets, and then I wound up at this shelter. It was a Christian shelter, and doing there was where I really got delivered from the drugs and everything, because not only did we do the big book through NA, we did the big book through the Bible. They had 12 steps in the Bible that went along with the 12 steps, and everything started making sense to me. So by that happening, I went that way. And it took a while, yes, but I never did use drugs again. I think the Opening Door to Recovery project will help deliver a lot of people. Everyone will not go and be delivered the way I was. There are different ways of them coming off of those drugs. There's different ways of them moving forward. But Opening Doors Recovery can give them a leadway, a hold for them to walk in their way and have someone walk beside them that been there and let them know you don't have to go through that. The opportunity came to me, and I've always wanted to help somebody see their way through what I've been through. I didn't want to see people continually go through that door like I went through the door. I didn't want to see anyone have to suffer the way that I suffered when I was going through all of this. It's, when you get delivered from something, you want to give back. And I want to see other people move forward with the mental problem, because I don't care what nobody say. If you're on drugs like the way I was on drugs, you got a mental problem. You just don't realize it. Because a lot of times you say, I ain't got no problem. What do you mean? I ain't no junkie. No, you can't even admit the fact that you're destroying yourself. And then you say, oh, well, I'm not hurting nobody but myself. But the truth is, you're hurting everyone around you, and especially those that care and love you. You can be saved from your addiction and your mental problem. But you have to be willing to do the work yourself. Nobody can do it for you. Because if you don't do it for yourself, it won't be done. You have to become sick and tired of being sick and tired